Welcome back to module 6 of this unit 2 summarization measures, and we will be talking about the measures of dispersion in this module. If you have to recollect, then we know that we have talked about the various measures of central tendencies in the previous modules, and the reason why we have these measures of central tendencies was we wanted to represent a data set by a unique value, a characterized value, and this value can be used as a representation of the entire data set. More importantly, if I have to compare one data set with another data set. So this averaging tools or a measure of central tendency will give you an idea of where is the center of the data. Okay, like in the case of arithmetic mean, it will tell you what is the average of the values that we are dealing with. Okay. The same thing with median and mode. Each one of them has a role to play in terms of its meaning. Now, knowing only measures of central tendencies is not enough, because if you have to rely on only on the measures of central tendencies, in a way we are looking at only the center of the data, and we are not looking at what exactly is the nature of the data points with respect to this center of the data. Let's say, for example, suppose you consider these two data sets. I have a data set containing 2, 3 and 4, and a data set which contains 1, 3 and 5. A very simple example. So if I have to find out the mean here of the first data set 2, 3, 4, mean is 3, whereas the second data set 1, 3, 5, the mean is also 3. You will see that the means are the same for both the data set, but the data sets are not the same. So knowing only the mean or the measure of central tendency is not enough, because in a way we are just looking at this value, the center, but we do not know what is the nature of the other data points with respect to this. Like here, 2, 3, 4, the values here are more closer to this mean as compared to the values 1 and 5, which are scattered more or at a little farther as compared to the arithmetic mean. So while you know the arithmetic mean or any measure of central tendency, it is also important that you know how are the other values deviating from this central value. Like say you are interested in investing the shares of a company, and suppose you have a company A and a company B. Suppose the average share in company A is rupees 50 and the average share in company B is also rupees 50. Now, how should you consider the company that you'll invest? Now, besides knowing their average share values, also it is also important to know how are the share values behaved on over a long period of time, or how much was the fluctuations of the data set. If this company has a very high fluctuation, whereas this company has consistently a lesser fluctuation, then to take a low risk, you'll always be it is always better to invest in a company which has lesser fluctuations, and that is exactly what we mean by here. So besides knowing the arithmetic mean, we should also know how are the other values fluctuating with respect to this averaging too. And this is exactly what we try to measure in this section. So a measure of dispersion is a measure of the extent to which the data is scattered or dispersed, and it measures the deviation of the data values from its central value. So in a way we want to find out, or we want to measure quantitatively, how much is the fluctuations of the data values as compared to the average value. And the commonly used measures of dispersions are range, mean deviation, standard deviation, and interquartile deviation. Okay, we'll be in briefly talking about each one of this. So what we are trying to do is something like this. Now suppose you have these three cases wherein the centers are almost the same. They are the same position. But if you look at the other data points, okay, And if you compare how they are scattered, now these are three different situations wherein I have a moderate scattered data as compared to mean. Here I have all the data set very compact, okay, very close to the data mean. Whereas here I have a very high fluctuation, or the data set are dispersed more or very much fluctuated as compared to this. So besides knowing this average, we should also know how far are these values deviating from this. A data which is more compact will have lesser fluctuations like here, and a data which is more dispersed will have a higher fluctuations. So this is what we try to quantify. One of the simplest way to measure the fluctuation in a data set is by using range, and range is something that we have already known before. The range of a data set is the difference between the highest and the lowest values in the set. Okay, so we say range is highest value minus lowest value. Let's say, for example, if you consider the data 5, 2, 8, 5, 9, 3, 6, range here will be, you have to identify what is the highest value. Highest value here is 9, and you have to identify the lowest value, that is 2 here. So range you will say is highest value 9 minus the lowest value 2, that is equal to 7. Okay, so this is how we calculate range, and this is something that we have already discussed before. Okay, so as we see here, we calculate the range based on the extreme values. We look at what is the least value and what is the highest value and the difference. So the range depends only on the extreme values. At the same time, because it depends only on the extreme values, the lowest and the highest, okay, it does not provide the actual dispersion of the data. It does not tell you what happens intermediate. It will only find out minimum and the maximum. But what about the other values in between them? What happens to them? This is something range is not able to detect. Okay, but this is one of the simplest way in finding the dispersion in the data. And how is this going to be useful is like these are two data sets that we have been working with so far, and we look at the cost in Mumbai of those 50 restaurants and the cost of those 50 restaurants in Chennai. Okay. And while we were dealing with this, we have already known how to calculate the range of this. So we have to find out the range here, and we have to look at the range here. Okay, so we have already seen, if you go to this, the lowest value in Mumbai was 13, which is somewhere in this data set. And at the same time, 13 is here, and the highest value was 76. Okay, this is also we have identified while we were putting this data into a frequency distribution. 76 is somewhere here. The same way for Chennai, the lowest value was 21 and the highest value was 67. Okay, so 21 is here, okay, and 67 is here. These are the lowest and the highest value. Now if I have to find out the range, okay, we have already seen that the range here is 76 minus 13, which is 63, and the range here is 67 minus 21, which is 46. So now after we have found out the range for Mumbai is 63. So we have a bigger interval here over which the data is concentrated, and here we have 46. So we have 50 values here which are scattered between 13 to 76, and 50 values here which are between 21 to 67, which is a lesser range as compared to this range here. So you know that the data here is more concentrated, okay, more compact as compared to the data which is dispersed more here in this case. So range will give you an idea of how over what interval the data values are dispersed, and by comparing the range you know the fluctuations in the data set that are occurring. Then besides range we also have quartile deviation, and quartile deviation is defined as Q3 minus Q1 upon 2. Okay, we already have seen how to calculate Q3 and Q1 based on the data. Now this is the data that we had considered. This was the data for cost of 50 restaurants in Mumbai, and we have already seen in our previous modules how to calculate these quartiles. Okay, so recall that Q3 was 37.22 and Q1 was 58.3 for this cost of meals in Mumbai. So once I know Q1 and Q3, once I have calculated it, the quartile deviation will be equal to, it is defined as Q3 minus Q1 upon 2. So this is going to be 58.3. This is Q1 and this is Q3. So Q3 is 58.3 minus Q1 is 37.22. This divided by 2. So you have to calculate this value, and you will see that you will get a value which is 10.54. So this is how you have to calculate quartile deviation. Given the data set, whether it is ungrouped or grouped, calculate the first quartile and the third quartile and substitute in this formula. So what quartile deviation gives us is an idea about the range in which 50% of your sample data lie. Why 50%? Because we are using Q1 and Q3, and we know that Q1 and Q3 has 50% of the values of the data set between them. So while this quartile deviation uses Q3 and Q1, we are referring to the central 50% of the data set. So we are in a way looking at how far the middle 50% of the values are dispersed. That is what we try to find out in quartile deviation. So if I have to compare range and quartile deviation for an ungrouped data, suppose I have this data with me, and suppose I want to find out the range and quartile deviation. So because we need to find quartiles, we'll have to put it into ascending order or descending order, any one of it. Let us say we are trying to put it into ascending order. Okay, we are arranging the data in ascending order. So the least value here is 2, then I have 3, then I have 3 again, so 2, 3, 3, then the next value is 4, then I have 5, then I have 6, then I have 8, then I have 9, then I have 10, then I have 12, then I have 14, then I have 18, and then 20. 18 and 20. So I put it into ascending order. So while doing that, we have also identified what is the lowest value and the highest value. So the range is 20 minus 2, that is equal to 18. If I have to find out quartile deviation, quartile deviation is Q3 minus Q1 divided by 2. So we'll have to locate Q3 and Q1. Now these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Odd number of values. Okay, so I have one exact middle value here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is going to be Q2 or the median. So I have this set here on the left side and this set on the right side. So I want to locate Q1. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 even number of values. So I'll take the middle 2 and I'll take the average of that. So Q1 is 3 plus 4 upon 2, which is 3.5. And what will be Q3? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So take the middle 2 and take the average. So Q3 is 12 plus 14 divided by 2, and that is equal to 13, okay, the middle value. So the quartile deviation in this case is Q3 is 13 minus Q1 is 3.5 divided by 2, which is 9.5 divided by, and this is going to be equal to 4.7. So the quartile deviation is 4.75, whereas the range was 18. So this is how you will calculate range and quartile deviation for ungrouped data. Like how we said, range depends on the extreme values, whereas quartile deviation depends on Q1 and Q3, the middle 50% of the values. So in comparison, of course, range is the simplest way to look at the spread of the data values and considers only extreme values. Okay, we have to just look at highest and lowest and take the difference to find out range. Whereas quartile deviation looks at the 50% values, the central 50% of values to estimate the spread. So it will detect the spread of the data only based on the middle 50% values that are between Q1 and Q3. Range can be used for any data set in general, whereas quartile deviation is appropriate for open-ended data sets. Okay, when we have open-ended intervals, in which case maybe mean or mode or those may not be appropriate, in which case we prefer using median. In this kind of cases, quartile deviation is recommended. Now range depends only on the extreme values and does not consider the behavior of the inside of the data set, which we already talked about. And whereas quartile deviation considers the intra data fluctuations better than range. Yes, because we are looking at Q1 and Q3 here. Okay. Quartile deviation considers the internal fluctuations better than the range, because range depends only on the extreme values. Okay. Range is affected by outliers or extreme values. If there are outliers, then range is certainly going to get affected by it, because by definition itself range depends on the extreme values, whereas quartile deviation is not affected by outliers or extreme values, because quartile deviation looks at only Q1 and Q3. Range is not affected by the sampling fluctuations, because range does not consider what happens to the data between the minimum and the maximum. Okay, it is not affected by the sampling fluctuations, whereas the quartile deviation is affected by sampling fluctuations because it depends on the middle 50% values Q1 and Q3. These are the differences between range and quartile deviation. Thank you.